Hi, this is ESPN's Dave Lamont, and you're listening to the Sports Objective Podcast, the unofficial podcast of the Pirates.
Very happy, as always, to have a visit with this next gentleman, and very happy with all the things going at ECU, right, Bubba?
Yeah, very excited right now to be joined by the Director of Athletics at East Carolina University, Jon Gilbert. Jon, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Glad to have you on, Jon. It's hard to believe time is flying. About 3 years ago, you took the job. I believe it was December the 3rd, if my memory serves me right. First of all, in the interview, just wanted to get your reflection on. It's hard to believe it's been 3 years, but I know that all your hard work is starting to pay off.
Well, it certainly has been an eventful 3 years. A lot of positives, a few things I'd like to forget or don't want to be reminded of. But all in all, just pleased that we're starting to trend in the right direction from a football standpoint. Just so many positive things that took place on the field this year that, I think there's renewed hope and understanding that we're headed in the right direction.
Jon, at what point during the season, as we look back, for you personally, did you realize that we were going to kind of probably get to where we need to be in terms of getting back to a bowl game and putting a good product on the field?
Well, we joke in athletics, somebody will come up and, tell us, things are great or things are not going well. And we joke internally that, your approval rating in athletics really is day to day. And for me, I think the turning point was the fourth quarter of the Marshall game. We started out 0-2. You're going into the fourth quarter, and human nature, you're thinking, man, if we don't pick it up, we're about to go 0-3. That is not what our expectation was for this season. And then, you beat a good Marshall team on the road, and you could just feel like, our players and our staff, I think they always believed that they could do it, but actually doing it on the field, I do feel like that was a turning point for us.
Yeah, you mentioned that Marshall game. Obviously, then we went on the 3-game winning streak and got rolling, got bowl eligible at Memphis, and went on from there. Look ahead, obviously, to the bowl game, and we'll circle back around, but we look ahead to the bowl game, December 27th, Annapolis, Maryland, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. Get your tickets to CUPirates.com. Talk about how bowl ticket sales are going, and how soon did you know we were headed to Annapolis before it was officially announced?
Well, I had let me back up. Ticket sales are going really well. I think we're a little over 4,000 tickets sold, and really good for us because we do get to keep the revenue that is associated with ticket sales. And then, I knew at the Navy game, I met with the Military Bowl. They were, that week leading up to the game, they indicated they wanted to talk. And I talked to quite a few bowl people. And then really I felt like after the Navy win, I felt like it was a real possibility because I did learn that the Military Bowl has the second pick in the American Athletic Bowl lineup. And so I knew in short order that the Military Bowl said, if you're not picked number one, we're not letting you slide out of the number 2 slot. So I felt pretty good about where that was after the Navy game.
And, Jon, that obviously with the Military Bowl is great because, as you know, we have a big fan base, alumni all over the place, being the big university that we are. But in that DMV, the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, a lot of course, alums, and then a lot of alums on the East Coast and not too far away. It's a great, not only location as far as drive, but also for the fact that there's a lot to do there.
Well, there really is. I think, number one, from a location standpoint, people from eastern North Carolina can get to Annapolis in relatively short order, and they don't have to hop on a plane to do it. I think the second positive is we're getting to play an ACC opponent. You always want to, play teams from that league given our location and proximity. We've never played Boston College, so I think that is, that's a huge positive. So all the way around, I think it's a really good fit for us.
Jon, shifting gears, obviously you talked about everything that's trending in the right direction. Now we see the tangible on-field results, things that have been, it's an extension of what you've seen behind the scenes from a culture standpoint with what Coach Houston and the staff are implementing and continuing to do so. Just talk about the recent contract extension and also the pay raise. That's putting Coach Houston in the upper third of the American. And then also talk about the staff compensation, because I had not seen a number there. Where does that stand?
Well, one, I think it's important, we need to invest in our sports teams when they're successful. And if you look at Coach Houston and where his staff were, they were at the bottom of the league. We finished tied for third in a competitive league with three teams that are still looking to leave to go to the Big 12. And so I felt good about where we were in conference and our competitiveness. We need stability, and so the time is now to invest in Coach Houston and his staff. So excited to back him up an additional 3 years and take him back to 5. With the additional compensation certainly warranted. We'll put them in the top third, but not at the top of the American. And we're still working through of exactly where our assistant coaches will land, but certainly time to invest in them as well. And so there are a lot of things that football drives from an athletic department standpoint, and the more you can, stabilize your football program, the better off you are.
Jon, conference realignment, hot topic about a month, 2 months ago. And it always seems to come up at different times. I don't think it's ever going to be over. How do you feel about what the American did, the decisions they made with Orozco and whoever made those decisions? Clearly went after media markets, and I think some of the ads, personally, me speaking, I think some of the ads are really good. Some of the ads I did not like at all. You look at the Sun Belt and what they did, going with more of a regional model. What do you think about the additions to the American and where we stand in terms of a conference? And I have a follow-up to that with the television revenue. I just wanted to confirm what I've heard, that the current teams in the American, the television revenue would stay the same, but it would be different for the new members.
That is correct. And I think as you look at the landscape of the expansion, the positive, we can debate a school's merit, all day. I think the big takeaway for ECU is, our conference distribution, TV contract is going to remain, stable for the foreseeable future. The new members are coming in on a, tiered process that eventually they'll get to a full share, but it's going to take a little while to get there. And so we have remained stable in that regard, and I think that's the big positive, because as you look at the landscape, my expectation when those three teams announced they were leaving, I was concerned about taking, a really big haircut on what the TV distribution would be, and that didn't happen. Now, to your comment earlier, it is, it's never done. So if we stay intact, I feel really good about it. If another team or two leaves, then obviously, we're back in a different discussion. So feel really good about where that is. And then the other piece for us is, I talk to our student athletes all the time about who our rival is. They always mention teams, 90 miles to our west that are not in our league. And I say, no, tell me in our league who our rival is. And we really don't have one. And so I do think with the addition of Charlotte, the ability to play a conference opponent that you can bus to, that's in-state, that fans can travel to, I'm not saying that they're going to be a rival overnight, but certainly us playing each other in each other's backyard, there are going to be some positive things in that regard.
Is there any talk about Charlotte expanding their stadium so East Carolina fans could actually attend?
I'm not sure what Charlotte is doing with their facilities. I focus on ECU. I've got enough to say grace over right now.
Yeah, speaking of scheduling, you talk about Charlotte. Charlotte was on the schedule for 2024 and then also 2025. So if you would touch on those openings and then just scheduling as a whole, some of the opponents in coming years, you have regional foes like Wake Forest, South Carolina, Marshall, and Georgia State. You also have intersexual opponents. Very exciting to see BYU and then also Boise State on the schedule. So talk about your philosophy there. I know also in 26 and 28, we're short a game, but we don't currently have FCS opponents on the schedule, so I'm guessing that's the direction we'll go on those seasons.
Well, scheduling's tricky, as we all know. Obviously, we've got NC State at home to open the season, and next year we go out to BYU in October. We've got the Michigan bye game in 23. In 24, Charlotte comes off the schedule as a non-conference opponent. We're going to add in an FCS opponent there in 24, and then we also have another game we need to get. So we would go FCS opponent at Old Dominion, App State at home, need a game. 25, we've got NC State and BYU both at home. 26, we've got West Virginia at Boise and App State. 27, South Carolina and Wake Forest. 28, NC State and Boise. And then really 29 and beyond, we did a long-term home and home with ODU. That's still on the books, and we'll need to add some games. So really, I guess the immediate need is 24. We need a FCS game that we're working on, and then another FBS game to be determined.
On the lines of scheduling, obviously everybody wants to play Power 5 opponents, but a couple of regional so-called Group of 5 programs that have been of interest to me. Coastal Carolina has become coming to prominence. Seems like it would be a team we would have some interest in playing from a regional standpoint. And perhaps Liberty?
Yeah, obviously I'm in favor of playing regional teams. When it comes down to scheduling, again, you start talking to some of these teams, and they are booked until 2030 and beyond. It can get a little hairy going that far out. So we'll continue to look at teams. Like I'm looking at Coastal schedule now, they're full in 24. But in later subsequent years, there may be opportunity there.
John, I had two questions to add to that. One, add to the scheduling. Any hope for UNC? And then the other would be, as far as I know at the press conference a week ago with Mike Houston, you talked about potentially a capital campaign for next year. Is that something we can expect as far as an indoor practice facility and other things for baseball and other sports?
I do anticipate a capital campaign sometime after the first of the year. It will be comprehensive in nature, where all our sports teams will have the opportunity to fundraise for different projects for sports. It'll be projects that really all of our sports can be affiliated with. And so the Pirate Club and myself will be busy talking to our fan base about helping invest in some of those projects.
John, you mentioned the Pirate Club, and one thing that I've had on my mind for a while now is ways to grow the Pirate Club. The Pirate Club numbers have shrank over the last 10 years dramatically. Have we came up with any the typical ways that the Pirate Club has done things for years now? Have we come up or tried to come up with any new creative ideas for the Pirate Club to try to grow it? That's something that when you're talking about fundraising, if you got a bigger pool to draw from, that obviously helps.
Yeah. Well, I would say over the years, like in general, most departments' annual funds have taken a hit. Now, we did do a special campaign last year called We Believe, where we did a 6-week campaign and generated almost $1 million for that, just a hair shy of $1 million. And so we'll continue to do special projects like that. We'll also do sports-specific fundraising where if you want to give to a particular sports program for their restricted fund, we will, do that as well. And so private giving is going to be real important for the Pirates as we try to move this program forward.
Kind of along those lines with the Pirate Club, one of the things that I often hear as a rep here in the greater Charlotte area, and then dealing with former athletes and that are out of the region that cannot get back to games as frequently as they'd like. Sure, you hope people are giving just because they want to support the program, but a lot of folks like something tangible and to see that they got something for their gift in addition to just helping the program. So I know down through the years there have been things like certain prints or a variety of things that have been given to Pirate Club donors. And so what are your thoughts on something like that?
All in favor. We need to do things to get people engaged and find ways to entice them to give. So I'm all in favor of doing those types of things.
Bubba and I were discussing before we got on the line about next year's home schedule. It's a very attractive home schedule. NC State to open the year, other non-conference games against Campbell, which is a good regional opponent. Old Dominion's coming. Ricky Ronnie's done a great job up there. They're a bowl team this year down in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, another regional opponent. And then you look at the conference slate. I believe you got UCF, Navy, Houston, Memphis, which are all attractive conference games. So it's a very nice home schedule next year with 7 home games. When will season tickets go on sale? Any thought of after the bowl game, particularly if we win it, doing something promotional for a limited amount of time to sell the season tickets maybe at a lower rate? And are prices going to stay in a similar price range? I know with the 7th home game is in NC State, it seems like they might go up. So what's that going to be like?
Well, a couple of things. One, it is an attractive, schedule. 2, we will roll out our football season tickets here in the near future. We are looking at what our pricing will be with the 7 home games. They will be higher because you're going to have an additional home game. We haven't landed on the exact price for that, but I think it's also an important piece. Like, at some point we've got to drive ticket sales and try to fund it if we all want the program to be what we want it to be. Like it takes funds to do that. So the more you discount tickets like we've had to do just to get people to come, it really does have an impact on the funding of your program. So I'm hopeful that we'll have a robust season ticket sales again with NC State at home. I would think we would do very well in the season ticket campaign for next year.
No doubt, John. I think that's like the guys were saying, especially when Mike Houston does such a great job on the field and with everything that he's meant to the program. What other things would you like to see as far as I know we talked about the indoor practice facility, which is number one, but as far as football is concerned, are there other things, the stadium upgrades or things that we can do looking ahead?
Well, I think there going to be a multitude of projects. We need to do a massive renovation of our swimming locker room in the aquatic center, the indoor practice facility. We've got a baseball locker room renovation. We need to look at the space in our teams building for all the sports programs that are out there. So I think that there's going to be a multitude of projects that our fan bases, we're going to ask them to help us invest in those to ensure the success and sustainability of ECU athletics.
Yeah, and I have a follow-up to that, John. The scoreboard, hard to believe that's been sitting there for 11 years now, and the PA system. At times this year, it sounded wonderful. I think the Temple game, for example. Other times it sounded like somebody was talking into a football phone from Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Are we going to do something to address the sound system? And is the scoreboard going to be replaced anytime soon? And I heard a rumor. You know how rumors go. You can confirm or deny this. Is there talk of putting ribbon boards on the Townbank Tower?
Well, we are looking at replacing the scoreboard for next year and some of the boards on the inside. The final plan we have not finalized, so still some room to go there. But from a scoreboard standpoint, we absolutely need to replace it. It's we can't really get parts for the ones that we have now, so we're holding our breath down the stretch of what we could do for it. So we certainly will be looking towards doing that.
As far as East Carolina basketball, we have not touched on the tremendous start and Pirates off an 8-2 record, and I have Liberty and Southern Miss remaining in the non-conference portion of the schedule. But you take a look at it. With Southern Miss and then Wichita State at home when the students are still on break. Just talk about some of the things that you and Eric Ward with sports marketing are going to do to ensure that we have solid crowds like the other night the students had over 1,100 there.
Well, certainly pleased about where our men's basketball program is from a start standpoint. 8-2, undefeated at home. So really moving in a positive direction, and just can't say enough about our students, how often that they are showing up. And so we're hopeful, even though it's a noon start, that we're going to reach out to the local student population and see if we can't get them to come to the game and be supportive when we take on both Southern and Wichita State.
Curious to know what's up with the noon start on a weekday.
It's a doubleheader. It's the last day of play before the break. We typically, on a doubleheader, the women, would play first and then the men. We reversed it this time because of Southern Miss's travel. And so we're going to play them early and allow them time where they can get back home for their Christmas break as well.
Yes, John, thank you so much for coming on, and we will wish you the best for 22. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and looking forward to seeing you at the bowl game and all of next year.
Look forward to it. Happy holidays. Thanks, guys. Go Pirates.